Do you find it difficult to change? Because of your circumstances, your culture, your environment, do you believe things have to stay the same? Do you find yourself saying, this is just who I am, accept it. I was born this way. You weren't born this way. You were born into an environment where you learned that behavior. So you can change your behavior. You can change out of that persona. You can take off that mask. You can transform into who you choose to become. You're here to evolve, not stay the same. You're here to be authentic, to be your true self, to become the person you were always meant to be, not stay stuck in an old system. My name is Angela Cleary. I'm a feminine empowerment coach. I specialize in healing after narcissistic abuse, and I also offer twin flame and spiritual guidance. This is the thing. I've seen it. I've done it. This is what we all say. I was born this way. This is who I am. And I've done this before. I've said this before. I used to say this. I was born in Ireland, so therefore I'm born a drinker. What did I say? There was alcohol in my blood when I was conceived, so therefore I'll always be a drinker. I do not drink anymore. And I remember identifying as a drinker because I was Irish. You know what I mean? And like, it's like, if you weren't drinking in Ireland, it's like, are you on antibiotics or are you pregnant? It was like literally, you know, you were a leper if you didn't drink. So like, I was an identity. But like, I remember when I went about giving up alcohol, I couldn't get past the idea of, let's go for a pint. Do you know, everything revolved around, let's go for a pint. After work, let's go for a pint. Before you get on a plane, let's go for a pint. Before you go to a wedding, let's go for a pint. Sunday morning, let's go for a pint. It's like literally the whole world revolves around going for a pint. And it's just like, that was an identity that I unlearned. And I find this with so many people. I can't change everything. You know, I have to stay the same. My family is this way, or my work is this way, or my friends are this way. But this is it. You literally ended up the way your environment led you, or learned or taught you to be. You learned that behavior. You weren't born. So, for example, there's this fiery. I keep going back to fiery Latino because I've heard from so many people say, I'm from a fiery Latino family. And the way I used to say it is like, I'm from a aggressive Cleary family. So I've inherited Cleary anger. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, so yeah, just because I'm a Cleary means I'm an aggressive person. No, I learned aggression because I witnessed aggression. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's not in your blood. It's something that you learned. Like, you know, for example, if you're adopted into a family, you don't bloodline inherit their traits. You become your environment. You learn what what you see is what you do. So this is so important. Like, you know, everyone thinks like it's too hard to change, or I'm not supposed to change. We're here to evolve. We're here to grow. And this really triggered me. A friend of mine, I hadn't seen him in over 20 years, texted me and just to say, hope you're doing well, and, you know, I see what you're doing online, it's really good and all this, and I know about your demographic. And I'm like, my demographic? So you're not human? And I'm like, you know I advertise as, like, my niche, my what I specialize in is narcissistic abuse, twin flame, and spiritual awakening. But like, spiritual awakening is evolution. It's growth. It's transformation. So every human on this planet has a spirit, has a soul, and is here to evolve. So I understood what he said when he's like, I'm not your demographic. But I was like, you're not human? My demographic is human. It's not, it's like anyone on the growth journey. We're all on a growth journey. Anyone that's evolving, any human being that wants to heal their shit, that's my demographic. And it's just like, I replied with the thing as with my response was, well, I want to reach as many people as possible. So, you know, like, we're all here to evolve. And that's the thing. It's like, you know, this is why, like, my content is so random. There's such a variety there. It's not just about narcissistic abuse. It's not just about twin flames. It's not just about spiritual awakening. It's a bit of everything. It's about everyday growth, about everyday healing and evolution. And it's just like, so my content literally, it is for everyone. And it's just like, I was just like, you know, when he said I'm not your demographic, I'm like, what are you then? Are you not evolving? Are you not growing? Are you not changing? Are you not learning? Because this is what it's about. It's about learning and growing and evolving. And it's just like, and I've seen it with so many people, oh, it's just, this is the way I am, nothing will ever change. But like, nothing will change if you never change. And like, you know, do you really want to stay the same? And I know like, this is a question as well. It's like, do you really want to be the way everyone else is in your family? The way everyone else is in your environment? You know what I mean? Like I identified so much with my past, and like this was really big for me, because it actually, obviously we've got childhood trauma that we're dealing with, but I had a really deep self-disgust wound that I only uncovered back in March. Where is the time going? It was around March that I discovered my self-disgust wound. I knew I had a witch wound, a persecution wound, that lower deep wound under my unworthiness wound, but I didn't realize how much self-disgust I held. And when I sat with that, when I purged that energy, and I asked myself where that was coming from, it was coming from my childhood. It was coming from my past. It was coming from my upbringing. But then it was coming from my past relationships and how people treated me. And I was literally kind of identifying with that. And I couldn't move past it because I was identifying as somebody who was worthless. And I was like, how can I move forward if I'm in this energy of, I am my past, I am my parents, I am my childhood? That's how I felt. That was what I perceived to be my identity. And I was like, I couldn't shift out of that identity. And so therefore I just had this deep self-disgust wound. And I was like, no, you're not your past. You're not your childhood. You're not your parents. You are who you choose to become. And that's a fact. You can choose every single day to be the person you've always been, or you can choose to change. Like we might sit around and say, oh, that person has toxic traits, or this person's an asshole, this person's an asshole. But ask yourself this question. Have you got toxic traits? Has your environment led you to be a not so nice person? Because when I look back on my past, like I was always a good person. I always had a good heart. You know, that has never changed. But I grew up in a toxic masculine household. And I was one of the boys, and I grew up in a group. I spent time in groups of men disrespecting women and joking and acting like one of the boys. That was my identity. I remember when I was working in supervisor in a meat factory, and like I worked mainly with men, and they put some women on my section. It's a packing area. Like obviously for me, I love doing that kind of work. I grew up in a farm. I grew up doing, you know, manual work and DIY with my dad. So I was well capable of doing that work. But they put actual older women and, you know, women who couldn't lift things into the packing area. And I was like, what the fuck? And they're all on their fucking period at the same time. You see, I'm sorry, but it's a really dangerous environment to put people women into an aggressive situation, or into a heavy lifting male environment. I know that sounds so sexist, but it was. And this is the way I felt. I'm telling you, this was my identity back then. And I used to get so angry. One of the guys that was working for me, like literally compared me to one of the women. I was like, don't you dare call me a woman. I genuinely said that with pure anger, because I identified as one of the boys, and I was like, do not put me into that box. Do you know what I mean? I was like, you are a woman? I was literally, that was my identity. I was one of the boys. I didn't do girly things, didn't have a handbag, I didn't have any of that kind of stuff. So my identity was toxic masculine, effectively. And I didn't believe I could change out of that. And part of me didn't want to change out of that. You know, I never had pink clothes. Actually, it's so funny. It's such a weird, now that I think of it. When I was in secondary school, I wore all black. I was a goth. But for my devs, I wore a Barbie pink dress. I'm wearing pink today, it's just funny. But like, normally, I never had anything pink, because I didn't identify as a feminine. I didn't identify as that. But that wasn't who I was. That was learned from my environment. I learned how to be one of the boys. You know what I mean? Like, because I grew up in a house with just my dad and my brother. So therefore, I wanted to be like them. So I was tomboy, one of the boys. But that's an identity. That was chosen. What would have happened if my mother hadn't left? What would have happened if I grew up in a household where it was just me and my mum? I would have grown up not one of the boys. I would have grown up feminine. Do you know what I mean? And like, this is the thing with your environment. You learn, like you as you said, you're born a clean slate. You're born an unconditionally loving baby who doesn't know how to say yes, no, or maybe. And literally, it's like, I learn everything you say. So if you grow up in a household where they're cursing all the time, you're going to start cursing. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and I it's one thing I haven't been able to unlearn is my cursing. I've tried. In situations, anyway, that's a story for another day. But like, yeah, like you can train yourself to be something different, and that's not like, a lot of people are literally they're averse to change because they're so comfortable with who they are. They get angry with somebody trying to make them something different. But ask yourself, are you actually happy as you are? Are you proud of the things that you do and say? Are you comfortable in the conversations that you're having? Because when I look back, right, when I was in those environments, I wasn't the best. I was a little bit, I was sometimes a bit rude, maybe. I wasn't fully as pure as I am now, we'll call it, right? And there are certain things that I picked up on from the men I dated, just really not so nice behavior. And I look back now and I'm like, I don't like who that person was. And I was probably very judgmental as well. I was actually, probably I was. Do you know, but I was in the group that was bitching. I was in the group that was gossiping. Whereas when I started to evolve and grow, I was like standing outside the group going, I don't want to be in a room where somebody's talking about somebody else. I don't want to be in a room where everyone's talking about the weather or somebody dying or just sort of fucking moan and groan society. You know what I mean? I wanted to evolve out of that. Like you're the average of the 5 people you spend time with. So that's another thing. Like, and I've said this before. What happens if you put a good apple into a bowl of bad apples? You get a bowl full of fucking assholes. And that's a fact. Like, do you want to be an asshole? And when you ask yourself, is your family environment, is your community environment, are the friends you've always known good apples or bad apples? And have you not seen them as bad apples because you were also a little bit of a bad apple? And I don't mean that in a really bad way. I'm just saying, like, you get comfortable in the environment you grow up in. So, like, you know, if you grow up in I don't know if you've seen Ready or Not. The whole family is like literally, they kill the new bride. It's this thing that's gone on for generations. I'm sure this really happens in real life. It's so psychotic. But what I'm trying to say is, like, they grew up as kids knowing that they had to murder somebody, knowing that there was this big game where they're going to murder somebody's bride and all this kind of stuff. And like, that's how they're trained, and that's how they're trained to kill. They're trained to believe that this is normal. Like, that's a fact. Like, you don't actually wake up as a newborn baby and go, yeah, I'm going to do all the nasty things in the world. No, your environment shows you how to do that. And that's the thing. So, like, if you remove yourself from your environment, who are you? We have a persona. We put on a mask. We put on this fake identity to fit into that world, to fit into our parents' world, to fit into our friends' world, to fit into our community's world, to fit into our team's world, whatever it is, whether that's work or sports or whatever it is. Because there's so many toxic environments that we allow ourselves to be in for so long, especially when it actually does come to sports or masculine-run businesses. It's fucking toxic, like. And, like, you know, oh, like, literally, are you really a bad person? Or are you just around the boys going, I'm going to be a dick today because everyone else is being a dick, and if I'm not a dick, they're going to call me a pussy? Do you know, this is the kind of shit that we go through. We're I was watching, I don't know if you've seen Ginny in Georgia. I only started watching that lately, but the child, oh my God, is it Ginny? She literally is like, she's no fucking brain of her own. And I think we all went through this at one stage. It's like, I don't know what, just for example, I'm rambling, sorry. Like, for example, somebody says, oh, I really like this. Oh, yes, I love it as well. I was only joking. It's shit. It's shit. So literally anything anyone else says, it's like, yeah, I agree with you. I agree with everything you say. So that person can say, let's go murder someone. Yeah, okay, let's go do this. And it's like the shoplifting thing. Oh, that was the scene from the shoplifting thing. The girls were shoplifting, and Ginny had never shoplifted in her whole life. And she was like, okay, I'll shoplift as well. And then got caught. Guess what happened when I was a teenager? My friends turn around and goes, let's go shoplifting and you won't get caught. You got fucking caught. And obviously I'm glad, because at least I never did it again. But I only did that because my friends told me to, or said, this is a great idea. And I'm like, okay, this is a great idea. I have no personality. I'm not going to do anything I want to do myself. But this is it. We literally do everything based on other people around us. So ask yourself those questions. Are you really you? Do you even know who you is? Or are you somebody with a mask on, pretending to be something or not, in order to fit into your environment? That's the question you ask yourself. Do you feel comfortable partaking in conversations or doing things that everyone else does? You know, I look back and I'm like, how did I not? Well, obviously it's to do with insecurity a lot of times, because oftentimes you just don't feel good enough as yourself. You have such unworth of self-disgust, for example, that you're like, if I'm myself, I'll be rejected, which has happened to me. You know what I mean? Growing up, I've been, you know, I was in relationships where I was told I was nothing but a useless piece of shit. Like, do you know what I mean? My mother left when I was a child, so therefore I was like, maybe I am a useless piece of shit. Maybe I am just not good enough. Maybe I am disgusting. Maybe I am not deserving of love. And I identified as somebody who was worthless. And that was my identity for 30 plus years of my life. I literally felt like I was worthless. And I know I'm not. I know I'm not my past. And I have been always adamant in saying this. You're not just who you... It's not just the way you are. This is who I am. Oh, that bugs the shit out of me. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I used to say that. It's like, just this is who I am, so accept it. Like, you know, we get into this angry kind of energy. It's like, fuck you, I'm not changing. Like, I am who I am and you deal with it. It's like saying, I'm a bitch, I'm toxic, and you can put up with that shit because I'm fucking too stubborn to heal my wounds. That's effectively what you're saying when you don't change, or that you don't want to change or don't believe you can change. You're literally saying, I will continue to be an asshole and you're going to put up with it. That's effectively what we're saying. So we have to start to, first of all, understand, check it out. Like, are you in an environment that is healthy for you? Or are you turning into a bad apple because you're surrounded by bad apples? Do you know what I mean? Are you truly yourself? Are you fully, authentically, freak flag flying, your weirdest, wonderful self? Or is there room for change? Is there room to take off that mask? Are you ready to evolve? Because you're supposed to. That meme of the caterpillar and the butterfly, and the caterpillar says to the butterfly, oh my God, you've changed. And the butterfly says, we're fucking supposed to. Obviously they didn't curse, but you know what I mean? Do you know, but we are supposed to. Like, are you, like, we're not Neanderthals. Like, you know what, like, there's an example. We were once Neanderthals. What would we be like if we didn't change? And don't get me wrong, there's many Neanderthals still left in this world, because there's still fucking caveman mentality. I'll build you fire. Fuck off, I'll build my own fire. Anyway, but like, you know what I mean? It's just like, literally, we evolved out of being Neanderthals. We grew, we started to use our fucking brains. So effectively, if you're still in this trauma bubble of this fucking negative identity of your past, you're not evolving. You're literally in Neanderthal caveman mentality, like. Do you know what I mean? So your refusal to change is literally refusing to come out of the Stone Age. You know, in a way, like, you know, so like, you see as well, like, so for example, like, you see your parents and how they lived, and you see your grandparents and how they lived. There's change there. There's transformation there. And your choice today is, am I going to be who I thought I was, or who I thought I was born as? Do you know what I mean? Or am I going to actually evolve for the future of humanity and my future kids? Do you know what I mean? Am I actually going to stay stuck in an old system that doesn't fucking work? Or am I going to change? Because, like, why wouldn't you want to change? Why wouldn't you want to evolve? Why do you want to stay stuck? You know, you're here for more. You're not your identity. You're not who you feel that you identify as. You know what I mean? We have to really start to feel within ourselves who we are, why we're here, what this is all for, not who we think we should be. Stop being who you think you should be. Stop being who your parents want, who your community wants, who your team wants, who your workmates want, your friends want. What the fuck? What do you want? Oh, I'll go back to the Notebook scene. What the fuck do you want? This is a bit different. But what do you want? Not what your parents want, not what he wants, not what society wants. I added society, but not what everyone else wants. What do you want? Who are you? Who are you? Not who you think you should be. Who are you? Behind that mask. Because the person you can become, the person you're evolving into, if you choose to heal, if you choose to grow, if you choose to break down those walls around you and break off that mask, that's who you're supposed to be. And like, don't get stuck in the mindset of I can't change, this is who I am. That's bullshit. Who you are is learned behavior based on a false reality. You know what I mean? You literally get to unlearn that and get to actually find out who you are. This is the whole objective of self-discovery. This is my demographic, the self-discovery human. Do you know what I mean? The person who wants to truly know why we're here and wants to evolve out of the old system. That's who I'm trying to help. Do you know what I mean? And this is who we are. Like, and this is what's so important. We changed, and then the next person can change. Who was the first Neanderthal to change? That fucker, like, he probably fucking started using a hammer or something, and everyone's like, "You're fucking weirdo. What the fuck is he doing? He's so weird. He's not allowed in our group anymore because he's using his brain." Do you know, effectively, this is what happens when we actually evolve. It's like everyone around us is like, they're too clever. They're using their brain. They're not following us off the cliff. Get rid of them. And that's what happened. But they still chose to use that hammer. They still chose to evolve. And look where we are now. So be the person who changes and don't get stuck in that caveman mentality anymore. You're not, I'll say it again, you're not your past, you're not your childhood, you're not your parents. You are who you choose to become. So thank you so much for listening today, and I really hope this resonates. If it does, please like and share, and please subscribe to my channel so I can reach as many people as possible. And if you'd like help on your journey, please book me for a free discovery call today. Love nothing more than to help you on your path. Also, I have another channel called Aligning with Angie, where I share a guided meditation every week. The info for that is in the description box. And I'm also hosting a free feminine empowerment workshop this Wednesday, the 17th of June at 6 p.m. Ireland UK time, for us ladies to get together and support each other. If you want info for that, please comment below.